This is the creature we use to confuse biology students, called an axolotl. Hello, I'm Dr. Shafiq, and I'm on a mission to uncover all the slimy secrets that the amphibian world has kept hidden in the pond. And one of those secrets pertains to axolotls and salamanders, or as I like to call them, the underwater puppies and the land-loving lizard wannabes. Now, as someone who spent more hours than I'd like to admit peering into aquariums and flipping over logs in forests, I think I'm qualified to talk about this. So come with me into the fascinating world of these amphibious marvels and see how they've evolved to be so similar yet so different. You know, when I first started obsessing over amphibians, the one thing that always puzzled me was how these slimy, adorable creatures could be so alike and yet so distinct. I mean, have you ever tried telling an axolotl and a salamander apart? It's like trying to spot the difference between identical twins if one of those twins decided to never leave the pool party. Not an easy task, let me tell you. So I'd like to talk about these fascinating creatures, their nature's way of saying, hey, evolution can be fun. Trust me, that's saying something. How do they do it? Well, axolotls and salamanders are like nature's own science experiment, showing us just how diverse amphibians can be. Today, I'm going to compare axolotls and salamanders because, as it turns out, not all amphibians are created equal. It's like comparing a submarine to a fighter jet. They both move, but they do it in very different environments. I'm going to show you something. Look at this. You may find axolotls and salamanders might look similar at first glance. They both have 4 legs, a tail, and a somewhat dopey expression that makes you want to boop their noses, but their approach to life is quite different. How? Well, axolotls are the Peter Pans of the amphibian world. They never grow up, at least not in the way most amphibians do. They keep their gills and stay aquatic their whole lives. It's like they're perpetually at a pool party. Salamanders, on the other hand, go through metamorphosis like responsible amphibians. They start as aquatic larvae, but then grow up and move on to land. It's like they're saying, thanks for the swim, but I've got places to be. They lose their gills, develop lungs, and their skin changes to adapt to life on land. It's the amphibian equivalent of moving out of your parents' basement and getting a job. But why the difference? Well, it comes down to a quirk of evolution and environmental adaptation. Let me explain. Axolotls evolved in a very specific environment, the lake systems of Mexico City. These lakes were permanent, so there was no need for axolotls to ever leave the water. They said, why bother with legs when you got these fancy gills? And decided to stay perpetually young. Salamanders, always the overachievers, adapted to a variety of habitats. They needed to be able to survive both in water and on land. So they went through the whole metamorphosis process, developing lungs and legs strong enough to support them on land. It's like they're the Swiss Army knives of the amphibian world, ready for any situation. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of their physical differences. Don't worry, I'll keep the jargon to a minimum. I promise not to throw around words like neoteny more than absolutely necessary. Oh wait, I just did! Well, since it's out there, let's learn more. Axolotls have these amazing feathery gills that stick out from the sides of their heads. They're like underwater punk rockers with a permanent mohawk. These gills allow them to breathe underwater their entire lives. They also have a flat paddle-like tail that helps them swim. It's like nature gave them a built-in surfboard. Salamanders, once they metamorphose, lose their gills and develop lungs. Their skin becomes more robust and less permeable, allowing them to survive in drier environments. Their tails become more rounded, better suited for life on land. It's like they traded in their surfboard for a pair of hiking boots. But how do these differences actually play out in their lives? When an axolotl wants to get around, it's all about that aquatic life. They use their tail to propel themselves through the water, their legs mostly used for steering or gripping onto things. It's like they're perpetually doing the backstroke in the Olympic pool of life. Salamanders, post-metamorphosis, are all about that terrestrial lifestyle. They use their stronger legs to walk and climb on land, only returning to water to lay eggs or cool off. When I first observed them, I felt like I was watching tiny, slimy mountaineers conquering the great outdoors. This difference in lifestyle reflects a broader diversity in amphibian adaptations. How did it develop? Well, back in the early days of amphibian evolution, all amphibians had to leave the water to survive on land. But some, like the ancestors of axolotls, found a comfy spot in permanent water bodies and said, nah, we're good here. Then came the salamanders, who were like land ho. They developed the ability to live both in water and on land, which opened up a whole new world of habitats for them. I learned that this adaptability allowed salamanders to spread across the globe, while axolotls remained in their cozy Mexican lakes. Now, with the push towards understanding developmental biology, axolotls have become superstars in the scientific world. Their ability to regenerate limbs and organs has made them the darlings of researchers everywhere. It's a nod to how sometimes staying young in evolutionary terms can have its advantages. But don't forget the historical context. When I first studied these creatures, I found that the evolution of axolotls and salamanders has been a journey of adaptation, specialization, and occasionally getting stuck in a really nice lake. The axolotl's permanent larval state, called neoteny, is thought to have evolved as a response to a stable aquatic environment. They say if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and axolotls took that advice to heart. Salamanders, with their more typical amphibian life cycle, represent the more common evolutionary path. Their ability to live in both aquatic and terrestrial environments has allowed them to colonize a wide range of habitats. It's not just about staying in the water, it's about conquering new frontiers. Today we're standing on the shoulders of giants who probably got a bit slimy along the way. The differences between axolotls and salamanders highlight the incredible diversity of life on our planet. Because if you think adapting to life on land was a big deal, wait until you hear about salamanders that live in trees or caves. Spoiler alert, they're even weirder, but let's not get bogged down in details. So what's the takeaway from all this? Axolotls and salamanders are more than just cute, slimy creatures. They're living examples of how evolution can take different paths to solve similar problems. The differences between them highlight the various ways animals can adapt to their environments. Whether it's staying forever young in the water or conquering the land, what's important is that these creatures have found their niche and thrived. And maybe, just maybe, they'll inspire us to appreciate the diversity of life around us. Imagine trying to explain to an axolotl why you'd ever want to leave the water. But I think after studying these creatures, I would be really excited to show off my axolotl-inspired underwater breathing apparatus and say, look what they inspired me to create. Well, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments below what you think about these slimy marvels of evolution. Have you ever thought about what it would be like to never grow up, like an axolotl? Or maybe you have a favorite salamander species. No judgment here. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of axolotls and salamanders, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any amphibious adventures. Big thanks to my patrons for literally making this video happen. If you'd like to support the channel, help me keep exploring the slimy edges of amphibian biology. Until next time, keep looking under logs and into ponds. And remember, always appreciate the diversity of life. Goodbye.